gotta be in Nairobi, you know? So might be a bit away from Nairobi. So for those guys who stay in Rongai, Syokimau, you know, Kitengela, that might not be Nairobi. Is it cold, wherever you are? This morning, it's a bit windy right here in Nairobi and quite cold. I can't see outside the studio to see whether we have the sun peeking out, but for those who woke up this morning, then you'll see exactly what it is, all right? So where we, in terms of our temperatures this morning, our coldest is going to be around 14, which is exactly what we're experiencing now, but maybe up to around 10, 11. It's going to come all the way up to 17. Our highest today is going to be around 25. And yes, it's a bit windy today in the morning. You expect rains that are going to take us all the way up to, like, what, 42 kilometers per hour total. If indeed we're going to check that. And our highest, as I've said, is going to be 25. Same thing to tomorrow. Tomorrow is even going to be colder, 23, 15, and all the way to Saturday, 24, 14. This year has been quite a cold year, you know. We only experienced how many months of sunshine? Like 1 or 2 months of sunshine. Cold events indeed. But I hope whatever it is that you are watching us from this morning, you're fine, breathing okay. We have a jam-packed session for you this morning. A lot that we're going to talk about in the political arena. Uhuru Kenyatta is back in the headlines again, and is back in the headlines this week for 2 things that he's done. He's at the heart of negotiating for the return of the Kenyan activists who were held captive in Uganda. He's also back in the headlines, and is under fire from a section of the Senate who want him to go home and retire in a peace. And if he doesn't do so, according to them, they're going to strip him of the benefits of retired presidents in this country. That forms the back end of our conversation this morning. We are asking, what is the Uhuru factor in a 2027? And do you think that indeed he should retire? That's the question that we are asking this morning. You can also be a part and parcel of that online at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. I'm at Kenya Gasim, but before we look at what is trending online, let's take a look at what it is that you're waking up to this morning in your dailies. All right, as usual, we're going to start with the Daily Nation. It's a fantastic headline this morning. Kenya strikes gold. Yeah. And this is what they're saying. Residents of Isulu and Bushiangala in Ikolomani, Kakamega County are on the verge of a windfall. A British firm has revealed massive gold deposits in the area and is now seeking clearance to mine the precious metal in a venture that promises a fortune for the investor, country, county, and the local communities. Ooh, all right. Yeah, so if you are a resident of Isulu and Bushiangala in Ikolomani, Kakamega County, things are not looking bad for you, because this is close to 1 trillion in gold deposits, 680 billion. And that's the area right there. So if indeed your parcel of land is there, and you're looking forward to proper compensation, yeah? That's it. The area is Isulu in Bushiangala, where processing infrastructure will be set up. So I can see jobs for the locals, more money, you know, infrastructure as well, just to make sure that the 680 billion shillings in gold deposits are well dug up and processed. So this is a fact file. Let's just look at it this morning. They're saying Shanta Gold, the mining firm, is from Guernsey in the British Isles. Now, the firm will pump 27 billion shillings into the project in Isulu and Bushangala in Ikolomani. Now, the sites is going to yield around 1,285,470 ounces of gold at around $4,100 per ounce, which totals to around 683 billion or 5.284 billion US dollars. Now, the firm is also mining projects in Siaya and Vihiga counties. Ooh, that's good. All right, you got to read the details of that story on page 3. Now, there is a story here on page 6 on ghost learners. The blame ministry, not us. Teachers now saying. Now, public primary school heads have accused the Ministry of Education of inflicting enrollment figures and creating ghost students and learning institutions, a situation that has led to the loss of the 4 billion in funding. That story has been covered on page 6. The head teachers here also confirming that their school and student details as captured by the Ministry of Education in their ongoing meeting in Mombasa. That's exactly what they're saying, that they're not, it's not up to them. It's the Ministry of Education that is inflating the numbers and creating ghost learners only to benefit a few corrupt officials within that stream. Want to read that story? It's been covered on page 6. On page 10, there is a story here on police boast in fresh row with the Commission over Retirement Age. Page 10, there's a teacher here who's won 5.1 million shillings award for negligence during surgery. On November 12, 2016, Newton Norbert Gogo began his day like any other, and aware that a single incident will alter the course of his life. You're going to read that story on page 2. Page 4, inside the 558 million Shah hospital payment fraud, there is a story here on Fayline Chama Hospital Limited that did not exist on February 15th this year. Yet on the same day, the company filed an application seeking to be registered as a 168-bed hospital. Within 48 hours of that application, it had been allowed to offer services between May 16th and June 16th, 2025. It received 12.2 million from the Social Health Fund as payment for patients it claimed to have treated. Now, Fayline Chima is now one of the 45 hospitals. A multi-agency team is investigating over irregular payments from SHE totaling 558.7 million. So that's just a month of, seeking registration. And after getting registered, this hospital went on to claim that they had carried out treatments worth 12.2 million. How? In just a month of seeking registration. And it's a corruption that we've seen in the medical scheme. That is the chief medical scheme in the country. After just a year of being in operation, and you can see exactly what they are talking about here. Now, according to SHA, there are 45 hospitals that are now under investigation on how they applied and received these funds that are totaling 558.7 million. So those headlines continue, even as Kenyans continue to question the operationalization of that scheme, which, as we do know of, teachers have also sworn not to go into, saying there was no proper public participation, there was no testing phase, and it looks as if there are more and more people across the country who are challenging this particular medical scheme, just 1 year in its operation. Let's cross over to the Standard this morning as well. And by the way, those stories that some of them have appeared on the Daily Nation have also been covered on our social media platforms. That is at Lookup TV across all of them. Now, the Standard is talking about see, hear no evil. That is the big headline there. And this is what they're talking about this morning. Now, Kenya's largest employer of educators, the Teacher Service Commission, stands accused of turning the country's classrooms into cash cows for corrupt officials The collusion of field officers to those at the headquarters reeks from job bribes and politicized recruitments to ethnic favoritism and stalled promotions. An ESA report paints a damning picture of rot and dysfunction inside the very body meant to safeguard teachers' welfare. As technology fails, morale plummets, and unions cry foul, the questions linger, who will teach integrity when tutors are themselves under siege? And so the issues that have been highlighted by the Standard this morning: rampant corruption, bribes demanded for jobs, promotions, and transfers, with the TSC ranked among Kenya's most graft-ridden institutions; inefficiency and a bias, now portal failures, stalled promotions, and alleged ethnic and political favoritism in recruitment and advancement; now teachers' frustration, there's poor service delivery, unfair transfers, and exploitative internship terms, eroding morale and trust in the commission. It's not the very first time that we've seen this, because even yesterday the Daily Nation did carry a similar story this morning. Actually, this is what it was yesterday. Principles from hell as well. It's a story that was highlighted by the Standard, yesterday. They've gone on to carry this story. It looks as if the gathering in Mombasa is giving us more revelations as to what goes on in the classrooms. And if indeed this is true, especially under teacher frustration on poor service delivery, unfair transfers, and exploitative internship terms that are eroding morale and trust in the commission, then indeed we do have a long way to go in fixing the education sector in the country. If you want to read that story, we're going to read that story on page 4 of the Standard this morning. And on the Enterprise Standard this morning, they're talking about how startups can unlock alternative capital for operations. Also, it's going to be what you read this morning. On that note then, just before we take a tiny breather right here on the Morning Drift, let's jump into the bigger trends this morning, see exactly what it is that Kenyans are talking about. There's a viral video, of, and I didn't know whether it will be okay for us to run it this morning on our show. The viral video of a young lady in a public transport vehicle, and she is claiming that a friend gave her an edible, for those who don't know about drug terms, it's food of any kind, I don't know how to do it, that might be mixed with marijuana. She's clearly distraught, highly intoxicated. She doesn't know exactly where she's going. She has no sense of direction and environment. The bus conductor is stopped the bus to interrogate her so that she can even reveal where she's going, but she can't tell it. She's clearly intoxicated heavily. This is a warning to the young Kenyans. Please, drugs is not the way to go, and I'll tell you why it's not the way to go. There's if you look at some of these comments, I do not know whether it's even okay for us to read them this morning. There's one here say, can't claim her because hata mimi nilikuwa na crash out kwa nyumba. Showing you just how instead of advising your fellow friends from the vice, you're supporting it. It's interesting. See, there's Jasmine this morning, and I'll read it. Betty Cookies, I almost jumped off the balcony. You see the things we were talking about this morning on a morning show. It's interesting that we should go this direction. Like if you look at all the comments that are coming here, Mwendo was saying that I've got a low weed intolerance. There's nobody who's saying please stop doing it. They're all talking about their experiences in that field. So this morning then, I would wish to call out for all the young Kenyans, please stay away from drugs, because we do know there's a story that is also trending of a young lady who lost her life when they were partying with her friends, and she was highly intoxicated, got into a taxi. The taxi driver was taking her home. She jumped out of the taxi and then met her fate in a grisly road accident along Thika Road. So, so some of the things that we should be talking about. If you can't stay away from drugs, please do. There's nothing exciting about being high. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing exciting about taking drugs. Absolutely. If you can't avoid it, please do. Yeah. Those 20 shillings, those 100 shillings using tech drugs, man. I mean, go eat a shawarma or something. Go, I don't know. Go pay and watch an Arsenal Man United game. It's not good news. Now, also Kenyans are talking about a mother in Kisii, Ben Nyanchoka, who delivered quadruplets. All right, names them after the late Raila Odinga and wife Ida. Those are 4 kids, man. Those are 4 kids, and got a picture there. Okay, 3 boys and 1 girl. Names the 3 boys Raila, Amolo, and Odinga. That's how she named the kids, and the girl was named Ida. 4 kids at once. 4 kids at once. Like, you're just trying to start a family, and then boom, your entire family is now sorted at once. For life, like that's it. God just decides to give you 4 and tells you, you want to keep on trying. Now you're going to get the 5th, not the 2nd. Ooh. All right, congratulations to one Nyanchoka from Kisii, for getting the quadruplets. It's a good thing that we've not seen a place where they're saying serikali's idea. It's a blessing. They say kids are blessings. So when you're blessed with the kids, why do we again turn to serikali's idea? All right, it's a good thing. Congratulations to them as well. Now, some of the trends that we're also saying this morning, just before we take a breather and come back and talk about our main issues this morning, is also issues around cancer. We don't know exactly what's going on. SHA patients are fighting. Cancer patients in the country are also fighting the SHA provisions for oncology as a treatment section, and they're saying that it's not enough. Some of them are having to pay out of pocket dearly just to afford cancer treatments, especially at a time when SHA did promise full coverage of this kind of treatment as well. There's so much around this area, and this is what we have around this. There's a day here. Now, data is revealing that in the country we have 44,000 new cancer patients, which is a big red flag. All right, it looks as if something is not going on right in this country. I've got a quote here from Justin Wamai. Good morning, Mheshimiwa, saying 44,000 new cancer cases is a red flag. Ban pesticides, right? Glyphosate and GMOs in the country. That's exactly what she was saying on this one as well. There's just so much around these cases, a lot of submissions from Kenyans on exactly what's going on around SHA and its treatment of cancer in the country. What do you think? Should we change the way SHA envisions the treatment of cancer under it? We'll be talking about that as well. Now, I gotta tell you this, Musalia is also warning Kenyan youth online criticism may lead to visa denials, and this is exactly what he's saying, that indeed you should be careful on what you post online. You should be careful on your online activism, because part of that is what's going to be used to award you a visa. All right, and this is what Bain is saying this morning. Mr. Alabai was saying no one will deny you visa for calling out your government as a corrupt and full of thieves. That's it. This is what he was saying, that it may seem fashionable to disparage the president, but it will not be fashionable when you find that your visa is being denied. That is what the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, is saying this morning. Gofi was saying, I find it weird that the most corrupt people are traveling using taxpayers' money, but you will be denied a visa because you said Mudavadi is a crook. And then goes on to laugh. Droid this morning was saying that whatever you're talking from was supposed to be a software summit, right? Whatever that means. Why are you talking about online activism in a software summit? That's exactly what they're saying on this one as well. So much then around this particular one. That's exactly what Kenyans are saying. And if you look at the other trends, this morning is Ugandan Yoweri Museveni now claims entitlement to Indian Ocean, warns of future wars. Museveni said, well, they seem to be landlocked. That's what he was saying. And this is what he said, that ocean belongs to me because it's my ocean. I'm entitled to that ocean. In the future, we are going to have wars. That's what he said. And then he asked, Uganda is landlocked inside here, but where is my ocean? My ocean is the Indian Ocean. Maybe you should tell him it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah? Museveni now officially then warning of future wars of access to sea. It doesn't work like that. Unless now you change your borders and come and claim it. It doesn't work like that, sir. Just a couple of issues here. So let me just read this one before we take a tiny breather. This is Arthur Sakwa, who's saying, in the late 1970s, tensions escalated between Kenya and Uganda after President Idi Amin Dada accused Kenya of aiding Israel during the 1976 Entebbe raid. At the time, Uganda's military was larger and better equipped, bolstered by the Soviet MiG-17 and MiG-21 fighter jets and substantial defense budget. Goes all the way to say, if a similar confrontation were to occur today, history will likely repeat itself. Kenya's strategic alliances would once again serve as its greatest defense against Muhoozi, Museveni, and the Ugandan army. So, should be prepared then to fight Uganda over its claim to the Indian Ocean, isn't it? That's exactly what we have for you this morning in terms of your bigger trends. Some of these stories, by the way, are also going to touch on what we're going to talk about this morning, including that claim by Senator Cherargei that one president, Uhuru Kenyatta, should go home, retire fully, or else they raid in on his security, on his presidential benefits, and anything that the government has accorded him during this period that has been out. Do you agree that indeed the president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, should go home, retire safely? What do you say? Online and Look Up TV, across all your social media platforms, what does the law state, especially on retired officials getting back to politics? Another man who's been heavily in politics is retired CJ Maraga, who's gunning for the top seat in the country. Should he also then go and retire if Cherargei's claim is anything to go by? Once we come back right here on The Morning Drift, my name is Simba Elijah Charles. Can I get your views and sentiments coming in? We come back and tackle this one. Good morning.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up. Kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi maji.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, "Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more."
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like.
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he's going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed the life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Right, all right, welcome back to Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Thank you very much for being a part and parcel of our broadcast this morning. Let's talk about one man. Not even talk about one man, let's talk about a certain factor in the 2027 general elections. Uhuru Kenyatta is back speaking to his Jubilee party, is back and is told any Jubilee member that any other person who's abusing Gachagua should stop, because he doesn't believe in politics of abuses. He believes in politics of development. He addressed the party, told them they need to gather their forces and get ready for the 2027 general elections. Every other person was okay with it. There was no fuss about Uhuru Kenyatta coming back. There was no fuss about them picking their representatives in the 2027 general election, Matiang'i being a front runner now. But one man took notice of Uhuru Kenyatta coming back, Senator Cherargei. And this is what he said: as a retired president, you can come back and, number one, use state resources which we as a state give you, use our security which we as a state give you, stand in the podiums and tell us how this country should be governed. In fact, it was quite clear. He told the former president that you should sit back and watch this country get transformed. And he told him, if you don't stop, we are going to go back to the Senate, so that we debate on how we can strip you of all those benefits that we have given you. It's not the very first time that we've seen this kind of conversation happen in the country. I will take you back to when it happened once we start this conversation. So the question that we're asking this morning is, why is Uhuru Kenyatta all of a sudden again in the mouths of the ruling party? And when Cherargei speaks, does he speak for himself, or is he speaking in place of someone? This morning then, to help us go through this conversation, we do have Ruth Bolo finally. How are you doing?
I'm good, Simba. How are you?
I'm also very okay. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Also joining us this morning for the very first time then this morning on our show is Miss Muthai. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Happy to have you around as well.
Thank you very
Karibu
much.
sana to Look Up TV.
Thank you.
Good. All right, let's jump into that conversation then. Ruth, I'll begin with you. I mean, the law is very clear. If you retire, at least for the first 6 months, keep off politics and do not hold an elective position. When Cherargei is telling the former president, go home, retire for good or else, is he speaking for himself, or is he speaking in place of someone?
First of all, Cherargei has no moral authority to speak on the president retiring, because this is the same man who wanted to increase the presidential term limit. So there's a lot of double speak on his end. And sometimes when I see the things he says and how and when he says them, because right now he's making a lot of noise because we are nearing the by-elections. So when you look at the when Cherargei speaks and the what he says, it also makes me question as to whether or not he speaks for himself. But one thing that is clear is that he has no moral authority. I wish it was someone else who was asking the former president to retire, but not the same senator who has been pushing for an increase of the presidential term limit, not him.
That's it.
Yes.
I'll be coming back to you on that moral authority. Do you believe he is speaking for himself, or he is representing an idea, a thought?
Okay. For me, I feel like he is representing himself, but he is aiming at an polarization, looking how this particular statement could affect the society in general, considering that Uhuru Kenyatta is a public figure with a big following and a certain community that really believes in him. This could have positive impacts on Uhuru as well, through polarization, where we could have sympathy. We could have people thinking now this one is disrespect to the former president and support him on this basis. This could work adversely to Cherargei.
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
Yes, pretty much. Let's talk about it then. And this is where we are, and I'll give it to you the way it is. Now, Kenyan's law and reason politics place this question at the center of a national debate. The Presidential Retirement Benefit Act says that a retired president shall not hold office in any political party for more than 6 months after leaving office. That's what it states. Now, we do know that activists have actually taken legal action, arguing that parts of this law unlawfully limit political rights. That at the same time, a number of retired public figures have also moved into active politics after leaving office, not just the president himself. Let's look at it, that the law is quite clear that the only thing that I shall not hold within the first 6 months is an elective position. After that, I can actually, according to law, go into active politics. What is Iking Cherargei when the law is quite clear, Bolo?
The law talks about not elective policy, but it talks about holding a position in holding an office in any political party.
Yes.
Whether it is, even if it is the smallest, whether it is a junior officer in a political party, whether it's an executive director, whether it's a secretary general of a party,
yes,
whether it's then the party leader, you're not supposed to. But I want you to remember, Simba, we are dealing with a man who, when he was president, disregarded a lot of court rulings. This is the same person who was asked by the Chief Justice to disband Parliament. It got into 1 year and got out through the other. So in terms of expecting him to follow the law to the latter, I think we are also expecting too much. We are giving expectations that we know are not going to be done.
Yes.
And that's why I have always advocated for a proper example to be made out of these politicians. But at the same time, that same law says that should you choose not to step aside, then you do not get your benefits. So he has chosen he doesn't want the benefits. Why is Cherargei backing? Because to me, he is backing. The man has said, I don't want those benefits. I mean, we saw Kanzedena speak a couple of months or years back, and,
yes,
and she said, we've not been paid for a couple of months. We've not been paid for, this period of time. We are not receiving our salaries. We are not able to run the office. The president is not able to get his benefits. So if at that time he was out of politics and he was not getting his benefits, even now, he's still not going to get them. So either way, whether he is in politics or he is not going to get those benefits. The other thing I think for me is that it only talks about holding political office. It doesn't talk about being politically active. The other option the former president can explore is to step aside from holding then an active, political office or having a title, but he can still, be the kingmaker. At the back, he can still, pull some strings here and there. I know it's a double-edged sword because then it hinders some of our democratic principles.
Yeah.
But for me, one thing I am excited about and why I would be the devil's advocate in Uhuru Kenyatta still remaining in politics, because for me it shows that this is not a man who was interested in the money. This is not a man who got to be president because he wanted money. And his love for politics is displaying that. But again, it is also an indicator he is going to be what would tip the scale, not just in the by-elections, but in the coming 2027 by-elections.
Yes.
He has two options, either to go back to his community, his people, and unfortunately we are in a country where there's a lot of tribal politics. So he could easily go back to his community and tell them, didn't I tell you this man was a bad man? You refused to listen to me. He has kicked our son out. Okay? He can also go back to them and say, I told you not to listen to this son of ours. Now see, we are out of government. So I'm excited to see what his return to politics does and how it shifts and changes the political landscape.
Yes.
But I'm also a bit worried about that same reason. But in terms of the benefits, I don't understand what Cherargei's issue is, because this man has chosen. It is either you leave political office or you give up your benefits. You're not getting them until you stop. And he has chosen to leave his benefits. So if someone has said they don't want that money, why is it paining you? You are not going to use that money anyway. And even when he was not in politics, you are not giving him that money anyway.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, Faith. This is what we're gonna look at, and I'll pick up this quote from one of our analysts who saw this topic and said, Simba, can I come in and talk about it? I told him, it's not your time. You wanted to come and talk about this. And this is what he said. Look here. And this is Jane this morning. This is what she's saying. It took Uhuru Kenyatta to speak to his community about Rigathi Gachagua. He advised his community to stop abusing and fighting among each other and move as a unit into the 2027 general election when he was at the Jubilee Party meeting. He actually did go right ahead and tell his people to stop abusing Gachagua, that any other person within that party who would abuse Gachagua, he would kick him out. Now Jane is saying this, that now immediately after that, Cherargei finally stands up and says, no, we gotta kick him out. If he's not gonna get into active politics, we gotta kick him out, we gotta stop his benefits. Now Jane is asking this question this morning. Could you ask your analysts, is that Cherargei really speaking, or that is President Ruto speaking through Cherargei? That tell that man, if he continues that conversation for uniting his community, for telling his party not to shun the politics of Gachagua, then we're going to come for him again, just like we did a couple of years back. Who's that speaking? Is that the president speaking through Cherargei?
Okay, so here I will not say it's the president speaking. I will not call the president at this point, because I know this could be just Cherargei seeing the threat coming up. Also, besides that, I feel like also the former president, being a former president doesn't strip you the rights of being a Kenyan and the right to speech. The former president has also, the Article 38 of the Constitution applies to him as a Kenyan. So that means he has freedom of speech, he has freedom of speech, especially to speak about his electoral inclination, which is allowed. For example, look at the former presidents in other countries, in other continents, like Barack Obama, the Ian Kama, this kind of presidents, they remained politically active. So as much as I support the current president, I will not say that now this Cherargei is speaking on behalf of the president. Yes. I would say that he could be speaking, or he could be sensing some danger when the community comes together and the president now starts supporting Rigathi Gachagua. So he could see sense of danger when this particular ethnic group is united. Yeah. So basically, I would not say that the former president is wrong, basically, because he has all the right to speak as a Kenyan. He has all the right to have his own political ambitions, basically. Yeah.
This is...
Can I just chip into that a little bit?
Yes, yes.
You know, we have normalized politics where it is carrot and stick. You support me, I reward you. And I allow you to break as many laws as possible. That is why you see whenever someone has a court case or is being followed by EACC, you side with the government and all of a sudden your cases disappear. You make a mistake, we send EACC and DCI to you. We don't allow you to break the law, and we will come after you both through the legal means and in unlawful ways.
Yes.
So that is the kind of politics we have normalized. And we have normalized giving such powers to the government of the day. That is why you see them threatening that we can take away your benefits. However, I don't think he speaks on behalf of the president. Why I say this is because if you look at Cherargei, and a lot of our politicians, most of the people in the political space will tell you, when they are being honest, that they also strive and struggle and fight to get the attention of their party leaders.
That's it.
So you'd find that you have to do some outrageous things, make outrageous remarks, just so that you can get the attention. And if that is the kind of trick, if that is what Cherargei is using, then unfortunately he will lose it, because when Kenyans go up in arms again,
yes,
the president will not want anything to do with him. But on the other side, the president also needs to, you know, they always say if a dog is always barking, you need to find out from the owner, is it that this dog is hungry, or is it that this dog is injured? So I'm not calling anyone a dog, but the president needs to put his people in check.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Just hold on that fact as well. Let's see the position that Uhuru Kenyatta holds within that party. There was a consensus generally in the country, that for a man who's enjoyed his 2 terms as a president, with a popular party, the Jubilee Party, that he would have ceded the leadership of that party to the party hierarchy and step completely out of that picture, that you can be active in Kenyan politics. It doesn't stop you from being a Kenyan, as you're saying, Faith, but then can you cede the leadership of the party? Because when you look at what the party constitution really says, that leadership of the Jubilee Party, that's an elective position. But to ascend to that position, to be removed from that position, you gotta be elected to be the leader of that particular party. Should Uhuru Kenyatta have ceded the leadership of that party upon his retirement as the president of the Republic of the country?
Absolutely, that's an excellent question. Again, when you look at leadership, Uhuru Kenyatta, I would not say he should have ceded from my point of view, because having worked in several countries and with different types of people, I've come to realize that leadership has nothing to do with your age, because here people would say he should mentor somebody who is young to take over this position.
Yes.
But again, I have worked with young people who are extremely lazy. Yes. They are not. They can't contribute anything to an organization.
But what does the Constitution really say?
Yeah.
Because that's where Cherargei is coming from.
Yes.
I mean, for the critics of Cherargei, they will say, probably don't address him like that. I mean, you would have raised that issue. But then, from what the law states, is that for you to continue enjoying these benefits, you gotta cede all elected positions in this country.
But Simba,
yes.
Assuming he wants to enjoy them.
That's it.
That is the assumption.
Yeah.
We are assuming that he wants to enjoy
But
those
don't we know that the people around him want to continue enjoying those benefits? I mean, his office has complained prior to this. Balo.
Yes, his office complained when they were out of politics. So now they have said when we are out of politics, we are not enjoying them.
Yes.
When we are inside, we will still not enjoy them.
Yeah.
Either way, we are not getting our benefits. So we might as well do as we please. So there is that, and for me, I don't think Cherargei is coming from a genuine point where he's saying the rule of law needs to be applied.
Yes.
He's being political. Because this is an issue he could have raised earlier on.
That's it.
Why didn't we see him vocal when the president's staff was not getting paid? Because they are also Kenyans. He should have spoken at that point.
Yes.
But when you choose to speak only when it benefits you, in a manner that it benefits you and your master, then we have a problem.
That's it.
Then we question the genuineness.
Yes. Yes. Faith, let's just get back to you on that as well. That your office, prior to the, and we can sit here and make an assumption that, well, the office might not be complaining. We might remove Uhuru Kenyatta out of it. Actually, he's never come out to even address this issue, even when it was a thorny issue that one Kanzedena came out and addressed the public on it. In fact, she was addressing the president, asking questions as why you will stop the benefits that they're supposed to get. And that was last year at the height of the Gen Z protests, all right? Take that aside, because they never come back again to address this issue. My thinking would be that, well, that was an issue that was later solved when there was sort of a handshake in the country and apologies were getting thrown all over in the political arena. Now, here is where we are. It took it took President Uhuru Kenyatta to come back again and speak on a couple of issues. Number one, on Rigathi Gachagua. Number two, on the conduct of the Jubilee Party as they gear to the 2027 general elections. Then boom, just the day after, Cherargei gets a mic and he addresses that issue. Let me tell you what he spoke about. He spoke about transforming this country, number one. Also went and spoke about how if Uhuru Kenyatta wants to continue enjoying those benefits, he should get out completely and go retire. Prior to this as well, Uhuru Kenyatta had spoken about healthcare in the country, on the Linda Mama issue in the country. Went and told the government, you replaced it with issues that actually don't even work. The culmination was the Gachagua issue. Can't we see then that there's a pattern that all of a sudden Uhuru Kenyatta is back, getting his party ready for the 27th by-elections and the 2027 elections, and then boom, Cherargei is speaking. aren't we convinced then that this is a man who's not speaking for himself, that Uhuru Kenyatta has been addressing a couple of issues on the conduct of the government, and number two, on the conduct of political parties towards the 2027 general election, but most importantly, the Jubilee Party, Faith? Is that a man speaking for himself?
Like I said, could it be conclusive that he's speaking for himself as it is? Because you can see clearly there's a pattern right there. There's a proper pattern responding to Uhuru's comments. But again, to the current Cheragai and the current government, they should not also strip the benefits of Uhuru as a Kenyan, basically with all the rights. Let's take a look for example, President Moi, the late President Moi. Moi was always in politics. He had his stand. But then you look at Mwai Kibaki, he chose a different retirement path. He chose to keep quiet. And these are two people, so it depends with the personality of the president. So this means that also, as a Kenyan, you have the right to check on your government, check on your current government. And if there's something that is going wrong, also it's not wrong to speak because there's freedom of speech in this country. So basically, what I could say is, yes, could be the current president hitting back to Uhuru, of course, but here in Kenya, we need to have also our leaders accountable. And we need to have these voices coming out, not necessarily from Uhuru Kenyatta, but from every Kenyan. We need to speak, we need to make our leaders accountable. Yes, absolutely, yes.
Bolo, is this a Uhuru Kenyatta problem or a government problem in this sense? We do know our constitution is quite clear that if you want to continue enjoying these benefits, then please, 6 months after you've retired, we expect that you won't be holding any elective position in this country. That is clear. It looks as if we had a closed eye on that one. Nobody came out to even say before those benefits then begin, can we see that Uhuru Kenyatta is no longer the party leader for Jubilee? Now one, nobody came out to say that. It only takes until Uhuru Kenyatta stands to speak on the ills that are happening in this country that somebody stands and says, now we're going to come for you. Because if you remember, during the Gen Z elections, there were purported reports that Uhuru Kenyatta was among the people who were funding the Gen Z process in the country. During that period, then they stopped the payments for his benefits until Kanze Dena came out to cry to the public and said, there are people employed in this office who've never seen a salary for the past 2 years. What's really going on? Can you tell us what your intentions are? That sort of went cold. Up until now, when Uhuru Kenyatta has spoken about issues in this country and went and rallied his party for the by-elections that we're facing on the 27th, boom, again, that comes out. But if you look at Cherargei is confirming that the benefits are going to Uhuru Kenyatta. Because what he's saying is that if you continue, we're going to stop it. Bolo, it's confirmed. That's a government official speaking. And they do have the power to also audit what goes to the president's office. So we can confirm right here that Uhuru Kenyatta is receiving those benefits and the office is receiving those benefits. So whose problem is it? Is it Uhuru Kenyatta's problem not to seat that position, which is an elective position? Or is it the government's problem to still continue paying him those benefits, knowing very well that truly he hasn't met the requirements of the Kenyan Constitution?
It is absolutely a government problem. Like I said, we have normalized the carrot and stick method of ruling in this country. So if Uhuru Kenyatta was siding with the current government, best believe Cherargei would be mute. Cherargei would be acting like he cannot see or hear anything that is going on. But also, I take note in that they are not punishing him for holding an elected office in a political party.
No, they're not.
They are punishing him for his speeches, for his commentaries, which is not bad in our constitution. What is bad is holding of the office. The speeches and commentaries are not bad. But if you genuinely look, like you say, when he has chosen to make when Cherargei has chosen to start weeping and crying, it is only after the commentaries. So it then again makes me ask, is it only until then that they have realized that he has been receiving benefits that he should not be receiving? If the answer is yes, then we need to question what Senate is doing.
Yes.
We really need to question what National Assembly is doing, because it means their role in oversighting, especially National Assembly, their role in oversighting the budget and the national government is not being done as it should be. They are focusing on politics. It means it is actually true that Senate and National Assembly are under state capture. It means Cherargei is confirming that to us. So for me, I absolutely think that this is a government issue. You cannot, and it makes me then wonder, do they say some of these things just for the euphoria of it? Mm-hmm. The former president mentioned that we lose 2 billion every day. When he was in government, he said that there's 2 billion that is stolen. He is out of government. The current president, who was also in government that time, says that there is 2 billion that is stolen every day. From where I sit, there is one constant denominator between that time and this time. So instead of him and his cronies using this period to find out where is this 2 billion going, how is it going, what can we do to stop it, they're busy running around after the former president because of his remarks. They're being political. And this is where I've always said we have a government that is reacting and not acting.
Yes.
You can't have a government that is always reacting. At what point do they then sit down to actually implement their manifesto as per they had, as per the promises that they had made?
That's it.
I think for me, it makes me really question, does the government know what they're doing? Because for them to wait until the former president is making commentaries, then we have an issue. But for me, I like that the president is speaking. Let him question them, because I mean, when he spoke about Linda Mama and when he spoke about Linda Mama and Shah,
yes,
it is the first time that we saw the deputy president actually use his social media to give Kenyans a detailed breakdown of why he thinks or feels that Shah is better. It is the first time that we actually saw him coming out and using his social media to do what I would call digital public participation. Before that, he did not do it. So for me, I am encouraging and I'm cheering, and wherever President Uhuru Kenyatta is, he should not stop. Let him continue, because if the National Assembly and Senate, where Cherargei sits, cannot oversight the government and the counties as they should be doing, then let the citizens and the former president go ahead and do it. The Chief Justice has also been, making his comments.
That's it.
He's said he wants to vie for office. He has shared that he wants to vie as president. And he's been going around. He's even, doing a fundraiser. Simba, we will come back on this very bench where I will remind you the day he actually says something against the current government that will cause an uproar in this country, they will come after him, blood, sweat, money, and tears.
That's it.
Because that's the government we have normalized. Mm-hmm. So it might not be an Uhuru Kenyatta factor, even if it was someone else who has spoken or said something that looks like is causing an uproar against the current government, then we would have been seeing the same Cherargei or even someone else speaking against the person. So it's not an Uhuru Kenyatta issue, it's a government issue.
That's it. Well, once we come back, Faith, the question is going to be then, we've seen this kind of sentiments thrown around, and they're all pointing to the government. I mean, if it's a government issue, then somebody somewhere should be keeping the government in check. Somebody somewhere should be keeping his boys in check and saying, hey, this is how we go. Because we do know that the person who officiates these benefits, it's the current government in place. So are we happy to shake hands while breaking the law instead of really going down to books and saying, those benefits are not going to come if indeed you do not hold that position? It's an elected position, let's follow the law. Why has it never been addressed? Are we happy that Uhuru Kenyatta will continue receiving those benefits if it doesn't speak against the government? But the moment it speaks against the government, just like Bolo is saying, that's when we come up in arms and say, tutakuonyesha, just like it's been done before. One man has been blamed in 2024. When Kanza Dena was making that speech, she actually said, why is the president withholding the payments that are constitutional? Why is the president removing security detail that is supposed to come in and protect a retired former state president as per the law? So this morning then, once we come back, Faith, the question I'll be asking you is, why has the president continued to pay Uhuru Kenyatta, knowing very well that is breaking the law? Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift, my name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage, still with Bolo and Faith, looking at the sentiments of Cherargei. I do know you guys are really speaking to me on this one. I'll be putting that across to Faith and Bolo this morning just to weigh in on exactly what's going on. Also, once we come back, is Uhuru Kenyatta a threat in the 2027 election race? Is that why all of a sudden every other person is saying you should retire? Why are you speaking? Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like.
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed the life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you? How easy is it? What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. They look familiar. Have we met before? No. We met in
Nobody's buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he's going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza alikuwa na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? for it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. Thank you for being a part and parcel of our show this morning. Just before we continue then, let me just pick a couple of those sentiments that have come in this morning from our audience this morning. I'm going to read what is coming in from, not Grace. Grace, I read your comment just before we started. Annette this morning, good morning, how are you doing? And this is what it is. Annette is saying, Uhuru Kenyatta should just go home, for crying out loud. But it looks as if Ruto is the enabler. All right, we're going to talk about that once we go back to our guests. Jay, good morning. How are you doing this morning? And this is what you're saying. I find it interesting that it's only a problem when Uhuru Kenyatta speaks about the ill doings in Kenya. For the time when he has been silent, nobody complained about him being on payroll, even after being a party leader for Jubilee. Finally, then this morning, Nico, good morning, how are you doing? And this is what you're saying, mimi niko poa leo, lakini Uhuru Kenyatta vile alisema arudi kuvai for elections, hapo alifanya mbaya. Let him give Jubilee party to the other party members so he can go home and rest, akule mshahara yake pole pole. That's exactly what we have this morning. All right, Faye, let me start with you this morning then. Is Ruto the enabler? Just like majority of Kenyans are talking about this morning, that when Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't speak anything wrong about the government, everything is okay. But the moment he steps out to address some of the issues in the country, then boom, there's somebody who's telling him, if you do not shut up or go home, we're going to stop paying. Is Ruto the enabler? You sort of see that is the center stage. When Kanzadena was addressing the non-payment last year, he only questioned one man, the president. Is Ruto the enabler in this issue?
Okay, yes and no, because when this particular issue, first of all, conditioning former president's privileges to political silence could be also a violation of human rights, basically.
But that's what the law states, Faith. I mean, the law is quite clear.
Yeah, but, okay, Article 141 is very clear about that you should give up the privileges once you take the active political positions. But at this rate, I would say, yes, the president could be the one fueling this, basically. But again, when you look at this situation as it is currently, because after the next maybe 7 years, the former president will now be Ruto. Again, let's look at the constitution well and make sure we follow it to the latter. Former president's benefits should be, for me, he hasn't said he won't give them up once he takes the active position. He is willing, maybe probably, to give them up, the privileges. That means he is not yet breaching the law, is not yet, because also these are two articles that are fighting each other. This article 141, which now focuses on what he should now give up upon taking this right. And also, I feel like these two articles could be dealt with legally, and they could sit down and come to a conclusion. This is what we are going to do to the president if this happens. And also, it should not be something that is out of the law, where they speak in political rallies.
Yes.
You know, as we speak currently, if you go somewhere and find people discussing your salary in a political rally, I wouldn't take it that direction. I would take it legally, take these 2 articles and take it in legal terms, and now come to a conclusion. This is how we are going to handle this matter, because it is a matter of a fight between one's constitutional rights and now the rights of the retired president. Basically, these 2 articles fighting each other. And let's respect the constitution as a country. Let's follow the constitution to the letter. When you look at, for example, the former president of America, Barack Obama.
That's it.
He remains very, he doesn't keep quiet on his political stance. And that means, first of all, the rights, the privileges should never be tied to your silence or noise in the political arena.
Yes.
Because these are privileges for your retirement. These are privileges for work you did for a country. As much as I don't support the former president coming up to vie, I wouldn't now tie, now let's hold these privileges because now he has started supporting Gachagua. That doesn't look like a valid reason for you to hold the privileges as such. Also, of course, we know that the president needs those privileges because, of course, he has staff in those offices. So we know he does need them. So my point is, let them sit down and sit with lawmakers and discuss these 2 articles and see a consensus between these 2 articles and see what exactly can we do in this situation. Because we as a country, we are a democratic nation. We should uphold our constitution. When you look at other countries that have gone the direction of unconstitutionalizing their country, you can see how they are doing. Look at Ethiopia, look at South Sudan, look at other countries in the sub-Saharan Africa. Kenya is doing well, but we should uphold the law. Let's follow the constitution to the letter. If this president, 2 articles are conflicting, let lawmakers sit down and see where can we bring a consensus between this article that says that this should stop and this other article that gives the president the right to speak on his also political ambitions. Yes. So basically, that's what I would say about this.
That's it. And Bolo, let's make it clear. Some activists have actually gone to court, and they say that we need a definition of what a political right is, because the Constitution of Kenya generally gives every other Kenyan, whether retired or not, a political right. You have a right to belong, whether you like it or not. The only contentious point is that even while it gives me a political right, it also stops me from taking an elective post politically. But no, is it not clear? Why are we fighting on an area which the Kenyan Constitution sees as black and white? I do not stop you from enjoying your political rights, but as a retired president, please, 6 months after you retire, do not hold an elective post for you to continue enjoying these benefits. Why are we fighting on an area that looks as if it's black and white? Why is the gray area in this? Bolo?
The gray area is at the point of asking who is breaking the law. That's a question we need to ask. Is Uhuru Kenyatta breaking the law? No.
He's not.
He is not. The people actually breaking the law is national government. Because why are they disbursing funds to someone who is still politically active? So the people who are actually breaking the law is national government, not Uhuru Kenyatta. And I think I like that the activists are challenging this in court, but they need to also give a solution even as they challenge this. I don't know what the reasoning behind that particular act and certain clauses in that act. I don't know what the reasoning was.
Yes.
But I imagine that they envisioned a situation where you have a former president who wants to topple the government, who felt that power was so sweet and upon leaving feels they need to topple the government. I am assuming that they envisioned a situation whereby, within 6 months, there's a lot of, it's a transition period, a lot of transition is happening. Former presidents leaving, the current president's trying to just settle in. And so to avoid any clash, to avoid any constitutional crisis, let let there be a smooth transition. Let this 6 months, and even for the political parties, 6 months should be enough for you to plan your NDC and whatnot. Now, with that said and with that envisioned, should they remove it and say that as a former president, you are still allowed to hold elective office? What that does is, one, it helps those political parties remain active. If you notice, a lot of these vehicles, after they get into power, they go back and they are shells of themselves. Yes. Look at KANU, look at DP, look at PNU, look at most of these parties. TNA and was it URP had to come together to then form Jubilee. And so I guarantee you, if anything is to happen to President Uhuru Kenyatta right now, where he decides he's not getting involved at all, Jubilee will follow the same predicament as the others. Mm-hmm. So I think, one, it will help to cure the disease of political parties. And that is why these political parties, right now we have 92 political parties. What are we doing with all those parties? But should they still be able to remain active? Then they can still make their parties vibrant. I don't need to open another party that then is home to politicians from Mount Kenya, because we have enough of them.
That's it.
So I think it will cure that one. But two, it also leaves the sitting president vulnerable. It leaves them open to attacks. Yes. It leaves them open to be toppled. It leaves them open to friction with the citizenry. So I think it's between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what the activists have in mind in terms of remedying it. But for me, the gray area is in answering the question, who is breaking the law?
That's it.
And Uhuru Kenyatta, in this case, is not the one breaking the law.
Bolo, right there, just like you've ended it, that Uhuru Kenyatta is not breaking the law. Is he not aware, though, that in the event that he continues to be politically active as a Jubilee Party leader, which is an elected position, that he might not receive these benefits? It's true what you're saying. Uhuru Kenyatta has never come on board and said, I do not receive the benefits. Why the benefits not coming? So that he can get a direct answer. He's a man who's been quiet on it. But is he not aware that whatever he's doing is not envisioned fully in the Kenyan constitution? That there's one clause right there that states 6 months after you take office, please do not hold this position.
I want to assume that I'm entitled to 2 glasses of water.
That's it.
Hypothetical situation.
That's it.
I'm entitled to 2 glasses of water. But in the event that, say, I come late, I am entitled to 1 glass of water and not 2, right? But after I finish my first glass, I'm still receiving the second one, and a third one, and a fourth one. Remember, I came late, so I'm only entitled to 1.
That's it.
At that point, am I the one on the wrong, or is it the person who keeps filling my glass? It is the person who keeps filling my glass. I mean, Uhuru Kenyatta is a politician, but he's also human. We don't expect him to say, stop sending my benefits because I am politically active.
Then why would Kanzadena come in and do a very emotional presser saying, we've never received them?
Remember, at that time, rightfully so, Jubilee had not received their fair portion from the political parties' fund to enable them be able to conduct elections.
Yes.
So how are we expecting him to leave office when he didn't have the funds, he didn't have the means? How are we expecting him to leave office? So Kanzadena came out to say, look, guys, we've been quiet, we are actually on our way out, but we're not receiving our salaries.
Yes.
At that point, the national government was still breaking the law. Right now, even if Uhuru Kenyatta is aware, that is it. He needs to just be aware. But the implementer is actually the national government. For me, the buck starts and stops with the president. And with the National Assembly, because you're supposed to oversight. Now you have realized that, and also with the registrar of political parties actually, because the registrar of political parties needs to raise an awareness, needs to raise alarm and say, Jubilee Party, the party leader, official party leader is still Uhuru Kenyatta.
That's it.
And then, she needs to follow the due processes to then ensure that he's not getting those benefits. So the person who needs to stop them is not Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta has got nothing to do with it because he is making a choice. By choosing to still remain the party leader and still participate, it means he is willing to forfeit them.
That's it.
Whether or not he has come out, it means he is willing to forfeit them. So here the implementer is the one who is breaking the law because they're not implementing the law. So I would also want to ask the members of parliament, what are they doing? The next time there is an audit query, I think we need to start penalizing. Because this is something that the members of parliament should have oversighted national government and how those funds are being spent. And the budget that they receive before passing it, they need to know what is going where.
Yes.
Before allocating this to the former president, have they gotten a report from the registrar of political parties to state and affirm that he is no longer the party leader?
Yes.
So Uhuru Kenyatta is not breaking any law. If anything, it is up to the implementer to say, you have made a choice, so we now have to implement it this way.
That's it.
Should he make a different choice and decide to leave, then the implementer says, because you have made a choice, you are staying. But what is coming out clear is that they are not punishing him for remaining the party leader of Jubilee. They are punishing him for putting them in check, for oversighting them,
That's it.
for refusing tribal politics, for refusing to allow people within his party to insult other politicians and instead practice a more, a more tolerative politics. They are punishing him for sure, for Kenyans feeling, he's a very charismatic leader. You saw when he was speaking during Baba's mass, you saw the kind of reception he's gotten. They're punishing him because Kenyans love his charisma. They're punishing him because Kenyans listen to him. They're punishing him because a simple cough from Uhuru Kenyatta can either save or break DCP, can either save or break national government, can either save or break the united opposition. So they're not punishing him because he has chosen to remain the party leader. And I think that for me is where I find a problem with.
That's it.
Yes, we cannot be using the law to suit us to punish our political enemies.
That's it. Now, Faith, let's then go into the question that I just asked before we went on break, which is the Uhuru Kenyatta 2027 factor. Why would Cherargei be scared of the influence of Uhuru Kenyatta? Because even if he steps out of active politics, and by that I mean being the leader of Jubilee, the Constitution still allows him to go outside there and campaign under the political rights. Now that's quite clear now. Under Article 141, you have political rights. You can support whomever you want to support in an election. It still does not stop him from going outside there and saying, we campaign for this, we talk about this. Why is he scared? Is it useless to threaten a man who's never come out to even say, I need those benefits? Do not stop them. Why are they scared? What is Uhuru Kenyatta's 2027 factor, Faith?
Absolutely. Now, Uhuru Kenyatta, 2027, he's, of course, he has very big influence in the country currently. With Raila Odinga exiting, especially the other, almost all Raila supporters, they see Uhuru as their Raila now, just to quote. So this puts him in a position where he can really affect the elections generally. So if also I was Cherargei, I would also be very scared.
Yes.
And also if I was the president, I would also be very scared, because this is a man who has proper influence in the country. And you saw even in the masses for Raila, the prayers, the kind of applause he would get from Kenyans. So that tells you this is a person who has a voice. Again, if he chooses to come back to politics, that would be heavy on the country, because trust me, he would win. And then if he chooses to support somebody, again, this particular person will have heavy support from the country, basically. So I feel like, yes, Uhuru Kenyatta is a factor.
Yes.
And again, I don't feel like he should come in as president, because he can now bring in another person. Again, as a country, we should now look at it this way. Now, this Uhuru Kenyatta, we gave him a chance to deliver to the country. As much as we love him, as much as he is now our Raila, I am a total supporter of Raila, but as much as he is our Raila, he could also give us somebody who we could bring to place and he could deliver under his guidance. And he could also be a king at the side. Because coming again, I always like giving examples of Barack Obama. He'll support you from the side. He'll build you from the side. Because now having a president who has been sitting in the same office and then having the same president come in for the youth, and then now speak for the Gen Zs, I feel like now we are going back to the other countries, our neighbors, like the way unconstitutional they are.
Yes.
You saw what happened in Tanzania. You saw what is happening in Uganda. We don't want this for our country. Those countries are not constitutional. The elections, the Suluhu elections were not constitutional. Uganda, you can see what is happening to any opponent of the current president. So you see, we need to also give the young generation an opportunity to lead. And in Jubilee, we have enough of these young people where Uhuru can say, now you are going to take this to the next level. And then young, I don't mean a 20-year-old. Of course, Gachagua is young in the political arena. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, basically, that's what I was thinking. I don't expect Uhuru to come back to the ballot, but I expect, of course, he's going to influence the next elections very heavily. Yeah.
But look, let's go back and read the notes on what Uhuru Kenyatta has done in just a couple of weeks. He's spoken about Gachagua, actually mentioning his name directly, and he's told his party members, please, any other person abusing Gachagua, that's you buying your ticket out of the Jubilee Party. We, as a community, we do not play those kind of politics. In fact, he was speaking in his local dialect, which is Kikuyu, addressing his community directly. He was also spoken about the party being together all the way to the 2027 general elections. His party has fronted the front runner, who's Fred Matiang'i. Matiang'i has been speaking heavily against what the Ruto's government is currently doing in the country. Heavily speaking on corruption and misuse of public funds in the country. Up until then, that's when Uhuru Kenyatta stance in this issue was well known. Do you think it's the mention of Gachagua that has got Cherargei speaking, that has got the government saying, okay, we know his direction now then? I mean, it was neither here nor there. Now we do know exactly how it's going to be. Is it just the Gachagua factor that has icked the government, or it is just Cherargei speaking? And I kept on asking like that because it's up until he's spoken about it in the running to the 27th by-elections that it's become an issue. Balo.
I think first allow me to touch on the transition politics issue.
Yes.
We have an issue with transition politics in this country from time immemorial. That is why you'd always find when a regional kingpin has been laid to rest or has exited political space, then there are fragmented voices within that space.
Yes.
Now, part of it, of course, comes from the insecurity of politicians, where you feel like if I empower Faith, then she's going to come and take over my party. And so that's why it's normally very difficult to pinpoint who then takes over or who then steps into these shoes. Yes, Simba, like I said, he's not being punished because he's breaking the law. He's being punished because of what he is saying.
Yes.
And for me, if I were to advise Cherargei, I'd tell him, he may think that he is threatening the president, but what he's doing is actually showing us that he is afraid of Gachagua. That as a party, whenever they hear Gachagua speak, they tremble. That as a government, whenever they hear someone supporting Gachagua, they tremble.
Yes.
Which is worrying. You are the person in government, but you are worrying about someone who was impeached and has a very new political party. If those are the things that make you tremble, as a government, we need to have a conversation.
That's it.
So what Cherargei is doing is actually to tell us in the open that they fear Gachagua. So, and that is why every time there's someone who seems to want to align with Gachagua, they must react. They must put some moratoriums. They must send EACC and DCI to you. We saw what happened to Natembeya. I mean, I'm not saying it was because of anything, that he did not break the law. I am still waiting for that report, but yes, it's only when he started to walk around with Gachagua. So for me, what I read as a citizen of this country is that the national government is afraid of Gachagua. And that is worrying for me as a citizen.
That's it. Yeah. All right. Now, ladies, as we get to the end of our conversation this morning, I mean, the question then is got to be, what is the way forward? What would be the best way forward? For one, Uhuru Kenyatta, currently as it is a man who's not moved by the noise that's gone on around. I mean, if we look at the way Uhuru Kenyatta has gone around this issue of his benefits, he's never once addressed it himself from his mouth. He's moved as a man who is not moved by that noise. What would be the correct course of action for one, Uhuru Kenyatta, and number two, for the government today to address it?
One thing for Uhuru Kenyatta, like she has just mentioned,
yes,
she's at the receiving end, so you can't say, now stop my benefits, I am breaking the law. That's what she has just mentioned. And then again, also the government, having been in leadership for quite some time, I understand that also the government hands could be tied. In what way? It means that if they stop these benefits,
yes,
it could work heavily against them in the coming elections. And then now the opposition, the citizens, it will drive sympathy votes towards this other direction.
Yes.
So you see, sometimes the government hands could be tied. We can't stop this because this could really affect our political position in the coming elections.
Yes.
So basically this one, if the current government, I wouldn't advise you stop the benefits because of your political ambitions in the coming elections.
Is that Uhuru Kenyatta winning this conversation, and that regardless of what you guys, regardless of what I do, yeah, I'll still have my way? And that's what Cherargei doesn't want. And that's why, and that's what the government doesn't want.
Yeah.
If Cherargei is presenting an opinion, an idea, then it's got to be backed, because he's saying, I'm going to go back to the Senate today and present this. So it's got to have some backing, isn't it? Is that Uhuru Kenyatta winning regardless? Are we saying, well, there's no way out, just Uhuru Kenyatta continue?
Okay, that could be the way. That could be Uhuru Kenyatta winning. But as a leader, William Ruto should be very careful dealing with this matter, and if possible, take a task force which can really assess these laws and see which is the right direction. Because having Uhuru keep quiet, yes, is not the solution.
It's only just one issue.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have an issue with him. Yeah. They don't seem to have an issue with him speaking. Yeah. Just one issue. That, well, you're a party leader, sir. It's an elected position.
Yeah.
And then you're really speaking tough. Like somebody with a political ambition.
Yeah.
Why can't you see it?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this is interesting.
Don't you think then that a task force will be will be too much for just one issue?
Yeah, absolutely. But in this case,
yes,
even as we speak, yes, Uhuru is winning. Absolutely. I will not lie to you. Uhuru is on the winning side. As we speak currently, because now the government could be really tied, the hands are tied.
That's it.
And again, you've been giving this guy benefits, and when he speaks, now you want to stop them. Again, what does this say about the government? Still, Uhuru wins. So this one, I give it up to him. And again, the way forward now, the way forward is a country. As a country, we should not stop the benefits from my point of view. But also Uhuru should consider whether he wants to continue like this, or he would like to just step aside and cede something.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But way forward, it looks as if you're dealing. You know when you're fighting an enemy who doesn't speak, who just looks at you fight, is the worst kind of fight that you'll ever have. But then I would like you to respond to this one as you clear in just 2 minutes as well, Bolo. And this is one from James this morning. James, how are you doing, sir? And this is what he said. You see, the problem with Uhuru Kenyatta is that if you compare him with Raila Amolo Odinga, in reference to the sitting presidents, the impact is the same. You mess up with them, you lose. So either way, whether you like it or not, a handshake is the best way possible. Is that it? That you can't do anything to him, because if you try then, because he's a man who's still active in country politics, you're the one who's losing. Is that why Ruto is afraid?
That's right. There is a problem, that we are so scared of implementing laws and putting to task people who are breaking the laws because we feel they hold a particular political status.
Yeah.
I think for me, in terms of this law particularly, no, in terms of way forward,
yes,
Gerard Gay seems to be all back and no bite. I'd love to see him push the government to bite. I'd love to see them actually withdraw the benefits until the president says, I want my benefits back, so I'm stepping out down.
That's it.
So I'd like to see that. Until that happens, anytime Gerard Gay speaks, we will be looking at a man with lots of back and no bite. What needs to happen? So that is one. Two, the activists, I do wish that we could have a way around this law, because politics is like a bag. Once it bites you, it's very difficult for you to run away from it, especially when you are not in it for the money.
Yes.
You will always find yourself being politically active.
Yes.
The other choice or the other option is for Uhuru Kenyatta to remain politically active, remain a kingmaker, and still, there's nothing as bad as a leader without a title. Because that is someone who can move masses without a title. And that is not, that is what the former prime minister was. He was a leader with no title in this country.
Yes.
But he was someone who people would wait to see what direction he's going to go to. What is he going to say? Is he going to mobilize? Is he for or against it? A leader with no title is one that is even more dangerous. So I think for me, I would advise them to, first of all, implement the law before they come and tell us anything. And then two, go ahead and amend this particular law. Allow the former presidents to be politically active.
Yes.
I think, like I said, it will cure a lot of the illnesses we have within political parties. So for me, the way forward is as clear as that. Amend the law, but with the law that is currently there, let's see you implement it. Let's see you actually do something about it, because what Gerard Gay wants is not to implement the Constitution.
Yes.
What he wants is for his master to be pleased, is for people to side against Gachagua. He's not saying side with government, but side against Gachagua.
Pretty much. Which way forward? A handshake? Or according to Bolo, go right ahead, sir. With that threat, go back to the Senate, rally that motion, and have those benefits cut immediately until it steps out. Which way is it going to be? Are you on the same basis as James this morning was saying? Oh, those two, you can't touch them. It's got to be a handshake. Is that what it is then? Talk to us at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Check them back online to the time that you joined us this morning at Look Up TV across all of them. Valo Faith, thank you very much for gracing the show this morning. All right, I'll see you tomorrow for another conversation. Good morning and goodbye.